Sanji's tip of the day. Just go and try to kick God and see what happens.
Eneru's tip of the day. Zoop! We've got 7 crew members here to have an adventure. Cross the Grand Line with you.
Woohoo!
We'll cross the Grand Line and have a grand time as we make our dreams come true.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll ride the knock-up stream to achieve our dreams. Together we watch season 3.
Yeah! Start the show.
Hello, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line. Welcome to episode 56 of King of the What Now.
We're a podcast that discusses the anime One Piece from the very beginning. I'm your host, Joel. I'm a huge fan of the series, longtime fan of the series, and your host. I have a weapon pointed at you, and in terms of distance and in terms of range and strength, mine outweighs yours. You can't defeat me with such simple toys.
I'm Curtis, the co-host and One Piece novice. I'm a divine warrior. Also, I have little goat horns.
And I'm Kat. I'm the ghost of the show, and I am a giant acid-dripping sky snake.
So, to be clear, you are not a bunch of moving bramble in the...
No, I'm not. I'm a snake, and I'm going to eat you.
Oh,
Also
okay.
your friends. Warn them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely.
We just watched.
Yeah, we just watched 4 episodes of the anime. Let me pull up the list here. You have it.
I got it, yeah. We watched episode 167, 168, 169, and 170.
Now, Curtis, I was briefly abducted by tiny gremlins, and I didn't actually get to watch these episodes. Could you give me a succinct summary of what happened?
But before he does that, we got a new opening and a new closing.
Oh, yeah, we totally did.
Hey, succinct summaries be damned.
Let's talk about music.
Music is where it's at.
The new opening is called Bon Voyage, and the new closing is A to Z. Curtis, give us your impressions.
Are we sure the closing's not called Where Are Your Friends? Or Come Back to Your Friends?
Come back to your friends.
Come back to
Where
your
do you
friends.
Come back to?
Oh, I mean, since we're talking about it, let's do the closing first, then we'll go to the opening.
Okay.
So the closing just kind of shows the backstory of each of the characters real quick. Like, it shows them, I think, their face, and then in the background, it's like something about their origin.
It shows like the saddest thing that happened to them.
Yeah.
So Luffy, it's when Shanks got his arm bitten off, and for Zoro, it's being knocked to the ground by a girl.
Yeah. Wow.
Was that
Zoro?
the closing, or was that the opening?
That was
I'm
the
having a hard
closing.
time. Okay.
Well, because the opening had a similar vibe to it. Same theme. The couple notes on the closing, it had a Nami blip in it. Like, Nami's sitting there at the gravesite of her mother on her knees, and then blip face.
She just has her tongue out for some reason. Is she making fun of Bellamere? Is she like, haha, I'm doing all these crazy things?
I bet you wish you could do this, but you can't. You're dead.
Man, as a Marine, you probably wouldn't want me to be a pirate. Well, too bad you're dead, but...
And then there was another thing, Curtis.
So all of them have sad moments, except for Robin. I'm assuming they did this because we don't know her backstory yet, but Robin's just examining some ruins.
We see her sad in a bed for a couple of seconds. She's like curled up on her side, and she looks really
No, I think
sad.
that one's the opening. The closing in the background has her, and there's like a upside down triangular ruins, and she's just looking at them.
We can definitely say that Robin is in both the opening and the closing. But yeah, we don't know enough about her to include more details, so right now all we know is that ruins, and you wouldn't want to include Crocodile because it didn't seem like he was part of her formative years when her dreams got crushed or whatever.
Yeah.
He was just a symptom.
Music-wise, I thought A to Z was fine.
Yeah.
I'm not super into it. I didn't think the background music was that great, and I wasn't a huge fan of the vocals, but I liked it better than the last one we had.
Yeah, that was around for a whole 12 episodes,
Yeah.
and I think, honestly, I saw it twice. I liked the visuals for this closing. It has the shot of them all on the Going Merry, and Usopp is fishing, and they're all in chibi form, little small guys, and it's an art style that really works for
Yeah, that's probably the best part of that. As for the opening...
Bon Voyage!
Yes, that one. Joel, Would you like to sing the opening for us?
I don't know the words. I know most of Luffy's speech that he gives, and we finally got to an opening that was Luffy. I mentioned that there was an opening where Luffy was the narrator for that beginning part before the music, and you thought that it might have been a future grizzled Luffy being like, "You want to know how I got these rubber scars?" But it was a lot more upbeat than that, and it wasn't a flash forward. It was in current canon, I guess.
So in the opening, it's Bon Voyage. The song is, I don't know, it's like upbeat and I don't know, it's good. It's got good vocals in that. And then I think it flashes again through like pieces of their backstory, and then like they slowly get added to like a scene of them like walking down the street like as a group. And then I don't know, they were on the ship at one point. That's about all I remember, to be honest.
It starts out, they're on a beach, and they're in their swimwear, and Sanji is grilling, like, some shrimp on skewers and whatever. Luffy's opening is just like, hey, did you hear about this really exciting adventure we get to go on? How great is that? And it's upbeat. We've had upbeat intros before as well, but this might be my favorite opening, at least from the first 8 or 9. Like, I think once you get to like the double digits, they kind of take a shift.
Okay.
But I like this one better than We Are, no matter how iconic that is. Better than the crazy techno mess that was the second one.
But Joel, can you dance at a rave party to this one?
Is that the litmus test for good anime openings now? Like, you should be able to rave to it?
If it doesn't sound good on LSD, then it's not a good anime opener.
Tell us all about how much LSD you take.
I mean, quite a bit, obviously.
Clearly. And we know that microdosing is a thing, and you can listen to Planet Money? No. Who was it that did that?
Oh, wait, who was it who did that? No, it was Reply All. Reply All did an episode with that. Just to be clear, I am way too nerdy to have ever done drugs. Not that there are nerdy people who don't do drugs.
You're way too
I'm too much
by
of a
the
square.
rules.
Yeah. I'm lawful good.
I'm waffle good. Yum yum.
Yes. And then, we, like you said, we did get the scene of the kind of most iconic moments from each of their stories, except for Robin, who, again, we don't know the details surrounding what happened to her. And then we also got, as you said, it was a scene of Luffy's walking down the street, and then Zoro appears next to him. I think they appear in the order they join the crew. And at the very end, when it's all 7 of them, they all kind of jump in the air, and Usopp looks like he's telling a story, and Zoro's closest to Luffy.
There's a really cute part where Zoro kind of punches Luffy on the shoulder, and then they laugh together. And it's like, these are best friends.
You punch your captain, now you're gonna die.
Like I said, I love this opening. I love how it's upbeat nature. I love that it's not focused as much on like the bad guys. There's one opening that we'll eventually get to where one of the bad guys literally goes, "Hey Luffy, let's fight," and then they just punch each other while the music is playing, and it's weird.
If Joel is referencing the one I'm thinking of, that is the 20th anniversary opening, and it's my favorite.
Interesting. But it's
different opinions.
Oh my god, could it possibly be that with 3 different people on this podcast, we might have differing opinions? It's my favorite opening. I love that it's them relaxing and hanging out. That's some of the cutest stuff. If the whole show was just them hanging out, it wouldn't be quite as epic or interesting to me.
Well, it wouldn't be a shonen battle anime for one.
Exactly. But I like that their camaraderie is better displayed in these kind of like rest moments.
I've got a hot take for you.
Yeah.
If it were just them hanging out and that was the whole show, it would be Teen Titans Go. Which is hilarious and great.
Okay. Absolutely.
But I think Joel, out of the 2, would probably prefer the original Teen Titans.
Oh, absolutely.
This is now a podcast about Teen Titans. Let's discuss.
Okay, just real quick. I know this has nothing to do with our content. There are a lot of people who don't like Teen Titans Go on principle, and I will admit that some of their jokes are juvenile. I legitimately love the Teen Titans Go to the movie, and you should watch it, and it's pretty great. It has one of the best climaxes in any kids movie that I've seen in a while.
I still haven't seen it.
I like it. But Gremlins, they're in your house. They're stealing you while you're trying to watch episodes of One Piece. You miss important details. These episodes came out like 20 years ago. Probably not 20. Probably closer to like 15, 16, or 13 at this point.
You might not have been born yet, depending on how old you are listening to this podcast.
So we rely on the great Curtis to guide us.
Succinctly summarize.
All bow before the great and powerful Curtis as he brings before you the succinct summary.
Yay!
This is our new opening. This is our new thing that we're going to do where we all give sermons. That we talk in like a pastor voice and be like, yes, and then Luffy did Gomo Gomo no, pistol Sanji's evil twin in the face.
And
Verily.
lo, his fist did shoot forth with the velocity of a rocket. Every once in a while, I think you listeners will be able to tell that Curtis and I grew up in religious environments, and Joel did not. I think this was one of those moments.
None of the so
May the Gomu Gomu be with you, and also with you. That's impossible! Only one person can have them!
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm getting too giggly. Okay. Serious voice now.
Hello, I'm Curtis, and welcome to my succinct summary. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy yourself.
Pull up a seat beside the fire as I lay this out for you. All right, so we start off, and wait. Oh man.
Curtis has to consult his notes.
No, my handwriting sucks.
The splaw hats.
I wrote Eneru down. It looks like Brenu.
All right.
Okay, let me start over here. Eneru is talking to his priests and who are currently fighting, and he stops them from fighting each other, and he says, all right, you guys are going to go out there. You can do whatever the heck you want. No more limits. And we're getting ready because the maximum is almost ready. I don't know what that means. We'll find out more, I hope. We also find out that a mysterious ghost shows up, freaks out Usopp, and fixes their ship for them, which is great. Oh, yeah, and then Usopp uses Chopper as bait to bring a shark up, and then they harpoon the shark, tie it to the boat, and pull it off the altar. So now they got a working ship again. So, everything's going good for the Straw Hats now. They decide they need to split up, and so they split up, and Luffy, Zoro, Chopper, and Robin go off and explore, and they're going to head to the place with the gold, which is the old ruins.
Yeah, the ancient city. I don't think we have like a name for it or anything.
Yeah. They come upon a giant snake that tries to eat them, and it's venomous. And as a result of this fight, they get split up and lost. So they're all
No, they don't get lost. They just have different interpretations of what South is. Because they're all idiots except for Robin.
And
Who ends up where she's supposed to be.
oh yeah, no, Robin knows where she's going. And also I like how the narrator, when describing what happened later, it's just like, these guys are idiots. It was great. I don't know if they do that in the Japanese version, but the English dub,
I like to imagine that the narrator was looking over his notes, right? And he was like, okay, so Zoro went this way and Luffy went, what the heck, guys?
What a bunch of dumbasses. Okay. Then on the ship, we've got Gonfall, who's still recovering. We have Sanji, we have Nami, and we have Chopper. And also...
no, we don't have Chopper.
Oh, you're right, not Chopper. Chopper's with other people.
Usopp. Maybe.
Yes, we have Nami, Usopp, and Sanji from the Straw Hats.
And then also the bird, whose name I forgot. Pierre. Oh my god, never do that again.
That's going to be on your birthday cake next year. Instead of Happy Birthday Curtis, it's going to be Happy Birthday Pierre. We're going to get a little bird to pop out of it.
Okay, I'm looking forward to this. Okay, so on the ship, Gonfall decides he's going to give him a history lesson, and he explains the origin of the conflict between the Shandorians and the Sky People, which we can talk about more later. The Shandorians also begin their assault on the upper yard at this point, the second assault, so it's the re-assault. Assault part 2, this time it's real.
Sanji would be so angry to learn how oversalted this food is.
Okay. And then also Gonfall explains impact and reject dials, which again we can talk about more. Wiper demonstrates actually how a reject dial works in battle and defeats Shura in one hit, and it's awesome. And then he wanders off and runs into Luffy, and they're going to face and have a fight. We don't really get to see much of it in any of these 4 episodes, just a little bit of cannonballs and him bouncing him back. Also, the divine warriors who fight for Eneru are unleashed, and they're all goat people.
Why? Why are they goat people? They do the bah thing as well. And I know we've had Mary from Usopp's village who looked like a goat and maybe was part goat, but we've never seen a group of people. Up until now, I thought we had one freak mutant who was nice enough to make them a ship, but now we have a clan of them.
But these ones are all naked. They've been shorn.
Oh no!
Oh my god, the horror.
I do have to wonder if it's another sort of allusion to the Bible, like Eneru is a false god, which is kind of devilish in nature, and the devil is sometimes portrayed as a goat man.
That could be it.
Kind of a stretch.
Yeah?
You're just full of puns. You're stretching out my succinct summary. I
do. So the one thing, really quick, I'm not fixated on the goats, although I'm completely fixated on the goats. They tell us about the Shandorians,
yes,
and they tell us about the Sky People,
yes,
but then goats. Like it's a third cast, and they don't mention anything about them.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I'm putting a pin in this discussion about the oddity of goats, and we will return to it. But first,
we now return to your regularly scheduled succinct summary.
Yeah, so so Zoro is wandering around and he is confronted by a couple different Shandorians, but one of them is the more important one, whose name I've forgotten. Braum, thank you. He has 2 pistols and they're duking it out, and Zoro figures out he can use his swords to create a ranged attack.
Yep, a flying sword attack. Math checks out for me. I don't know what your Link did it way back in like 1987 or whenever his first game came out.
That's true, yes. So he apparently has to have full hearts, and then he just charges his sword and he shoots at him. But yeah, no, he still uses it. It's the 36-pound cannon.
Phoenix, whichever one you call it.
Okay. Chopper finds some ruins. I don't know if they're the right ones. He's convinced they are. He also happens upon the swamp.
The Sky Punks, Swamp Priest Gadatsu.
Yeah, that guy. And apparently, like, Chopper doesn't notice the priest, and the priest notices him, but it just doesn't say anything.
And meanwhile, Chopper is talking to himself about how great he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Chopper.
And we end with Eneru showing up on the Going Merry, and Sanji tries to kick him, and he gets zapped, and he's dead now. He's definitely dead. 100% dead.
Yeah, they can't hear his heartbeat or anything.
Yeah, he's gone.
Guys, Sanji, I think he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when your heart stops beating.
And then if they find a way to revive him from being dead, he'll come back to his friends. What? Come back to your friends.
But was that your whole summary?
Yeah, because I don't think Eneru really says much at that point.
No, he just basically says, I'm not here to attack.
So on that note, we have met Eneru now.
Yes, real quick though. That was your succinct summary. And now you can talk about
the goal is good.
So we've met Eneru.
Yeah.
And a who?
Eneru. Did he look like anyone specific to you? We know Django was based off of Steve Tyler. Who do you think Eneru was based on?
Oh, he's Eminem, right?
Yes, he is in fact.
He's the big red one.
That was a clever joke you just made. You are a goober. No, he is 100% based off of Eminem. Joel, for you listeners, Joel is actually pulling up a comparison picture for Curtis right now. And aside from the earlobe thing, it's just spot on.
That's why he has the do-rag. I don't know if it's actually a do-rag, but like a bandana.
He has like a bandana type of hat that he always wears. And yeah, I definitely think that is a nod to, might also be why he has the puffy pants. I'm not super familiar with rapper culture, but...
or with Eminem in general.
Yeah, you know.
They kind of struck me as like that, Aladdin had those bigger pants. I just assumed it was kind of like that. He was just, that's his style.
Yeah.
Now, I can't help but notice that in your succinct summary, you said that he zapped Sanji. Could you explain that a little bit?
We found out he has Latin powers. I don't know what they're actually called, but I said that with an accent too. So let me say that more clearly for the microphone. Lightning.
Excellent enunciation. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I don't actually know what the fruit name is. I don't even know if it's a fruit power. It might not be. but he has the ability to zap people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it has something to do with his big wheel.
It could. Which I was also confused about. So he's got his character design for people who haven't seen it, but you should just go look at it. It'll be easier to understand. But he has this, so he's like a big shirtless white dude with a weird nose and a thing on his head, and big earlobes.
Long earlobes, because he put like gold weights on them.
They're like a foot long. It's crazy. But then he has this circle thing that looks like it's attached to his back, which he's not wearing a shirt. So where's it attached to? Is it coming out of him?
Hey, Curtis, do you know something else that's missing from his back?
Oh, wings. He doesn't have wings.
Eneru ripped out his own wings in order to replace them with that circle thing with the 4 drums on it. That is canon. He never says it. He never looks at the camera and says, yes, I remember the day I ripped out my wings like Angel from X-Men 3. He just doesn't have wings.
And also, the X-Men exist in One Piece.
Only in Eneru's mind. Anytime he tries to mention, he's like, can we talk about that scene with Beast and Cyclops? Everyone just goes, what are you on, man? And he goes, never mind, it's a god thing. You wouldn't understand. You're just immortal.
So he never says it outright. Do you know it from an SBS, or is it just implied?
I believe that it's just accepted fan canon.
Okay.
You guys continue to talk about Eneru while I look it up.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something. So the lightning, I'm assuming it's a devil fruit. My guess is that it is a Zoan? No. Logia, thank you. A Logia, so like Smoker.
Okay.
Where he can turn into lightning. The reason I'm guessing this is it would explain his ability to be in a lot of places seemingly at once. It's because he can move. It's because he can move so quickly around, so that he can watch people and watch at the important spots and dish out punishments. Also, when these guys were fighting, the 3 remaining priests, he kind of appears out of nowhere almost, it seems. Like there's just lightning and he's there. And so my guess is he was lightning. He came in, zapped them on his way in, and then turned into his body.
Oh, there you go.
But that may be incorrect, I'm assuming.
I'm not going to confirm or deny your suspicions because I don't want to give anything away. As a villain, how are you feeling about him? Is he giving off the same vibes of intimidation that previous villains have given off?
I don't know how I feel about him. He is definitely a little overly confident.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Crocodile. Doesn't seem like he wants to get his hands as dirty as Crocodile for the most part. He's kind of away from stuff, except that when he goes out in such a way that he knows he's not going to get hurt.
Well, he's God, Curtis. Gods don't have to do things themselves.
Yeah. But there's obviously, he has some ulterior motive. He's a plan in place. That's what the maxim is, but we don't know what it is yet.
We just know that it's a way for him to leave Skypiea.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember because, well, yeah, he said he wants to, oh, that's right. He did say it's a way for him to get off of this island and go to the land of dreams. Mm-hmm. Don't know what that means.
See, I couldn't remember if he said, I will build it and use it to leave and go to the land of dreams, or if he just said, I will build it and then I will leave towards the land of dreams. So if it were a super cannon or something, maybe the land of dreams is hidden behind a really big wall and he needs the cannon to punch through. You might also be right that it is the means through which he will leave. I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Welcome back, by the way, Joel.
Thank you.
How was your trip?
It was pretty good. I spent some time out in the sun. I got some nice UV rays. My skin's just a touch, it's tan. I feel more beautiful, to be honest.
You tan really fast, by the way. That was like 2 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, so it looks like there's no official explanation. I'm not seeing like an SBS link where Oda explained what happened to his wings, but people have just noticed that he and Gonfall both don't have wings, even though we know that they both canonically are from the Sky Islands, where everyone else has wings. So
maybe you have to pull them out to become God or something?
I don't know. I do know that for Eneru specifically, the drum ring, it's an allusion to the Japanese god of lightning, the Raijin.
Oh,
and
interesting.
So that's he looks like a god in Japanese folklore as he plays the role of God in the series.
Whereas like Gonfall looks kind of like I don't know, like a more traditional Western like
Yeah, kind of how
a
you sometimes
depiction of
see
God, yeah.
the Christian God kind of depicted a lot of times. Yeah.
yeah, and then like in Western style knight armor.
Yep.
So they're like almost diametrically opposed
Yeah.
God figures.
Yeah, West versus East. I'm trying to remember how I felt about Crocodile before I knew about his plan, and I'm having a hard time. I haven't seen enough. I remember there was a point where Crocodile became like officially more menacing, but I didn't have a full feel for what he was going for, and at that point I liked him better. I don't think I've gotten that yet from Eneru. Thank you.
I remember, so when we first heard anything from Crocodile, he was kind of in the shadows and we saw a flower wilt at his touch, and that was very spooky. Seeing Eneru full on like this, he's very cocky and he almost seems a little lazy, like he's way more laid back than you'd expect from somebody in his position. And I don't know, I can't say I find him super intimidating at this moment. Knowing he can do lightning stuff is kind of scary. Like, what are the Straw Hats going to do against that? But otherwise, I'm kind of like, okay, this is a bad guy, I guess.
He has a lot of personality compared to Crocodile, who is very stoic, and Smoker, who doesn't show a lot of emotions. He's almost closest to Buggy in that regard. Django was a weirdo, but he wasn't the captain. That was Kuro, and Kuro was also a pretty no-nonsense guy. So I find it interesting that he is, like you said, Kat, that he lays around in his throne, but he also doesn't seem to really care when other people die around him, and he just let's turn this into a game. Come on, people, guess. That's what makes it a game. But in terms of intimidation, I haven't gotten anything yet.
You can tell that Gonfall took his role as God very seriously, and he still sees himself as a protector of these people. And again, he and Eneru are kind of diametrically opposed in that Eneru doesn't really care at all. He's like, I'm God. Why should I care if people live or die?
Well, and we did even get the point from Gonfall that he intentionally makes the people of Sky Island of Angel Town, is that what it's called? To turn criminals in, because he knows that will weigh heavily on their mind and they'll be easier to control. So he's not an idiot, but he definitely is the exact opposite of Gonfall in the, I will protect them. I will use these people as sheep.
Just to be clear, Gonfall told us that about Eneru.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry,
Okay.
that's what I meant.
Yeah, no, okay. I just want to make sure people understood, because I got what you meant.
Gonfall was actually a cruel, unmovable tyrant dictator. Okay. Anything else about Eneru?
I mean, I do like his character design overall, not the earlobes. That's kind of like, yeah, I could take it or leave it.
Everybody is always hating on the earlobes, but I like that it visually distinguishes him. Like, nobody else is going to have those crazy long earlobe things.
Well, and I don't want to talk about I read an article once about this country in Africa, so I know so much, but I believe that there are tribes that intentionally wear heavier and heavier earrings to elongate their earlobes. And so in that sense, I think that, again, Oda's just trying to draw inspiration from religious or kind of cultural things that people can do in order to simplify.
Well,
but it's weird because he's the only one that does it. We haven't seen anyone else do it. So
I noticed that he wears a lot of gold. He's got golden wristbands, and the earrings that are dragging his ears down are gold. So maybe he didn't even do it on purpose. Maybe he just wants to cover himself in gold, and that was a side effect because his earrings were heavy.
that actually leads me to something interesting. Gonfall mentioned. So when Nami was in that, we're talking about the city of gold, Gonfall overheard, and he asks, what is gold? And one, that's like, what? But then again, I guess it kind of makes sense because gold wouldn't be naturally occurring, right? In the sky place. If there was a city of gold, it might be on, Upper Yard, thank you. But they probably wouldn't have understood what it was. And I don't know, it probably wouldn't have been as valuable to them as the dirt, which was always valuable to them as a holy thing. But there's clearly gold there. Because like you said, I keep wanting to call him M&N now.
You can call him that. We'll know who you're talking about. Our boy Slim Shady.
As he's using his lightning powers to zap Sanji.
Yes. So the real Slim Shady, he's wearing lots of gold, right? And so there's obviously gold there.
In them hills.
Yes, in them dirt hills. Or them Verth hills, sorry. So I'm curious to see where that leads. And also it kind of points out that he's not
from around
greedy.
these parts. Oh, he's not.
A
Okay.
Gonfall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas Eneru might be. I thought it was interesting that he set up the battle between the Shandorians and the priests and whatever else as a game. He called it his survival game, and he was trying to get people to guess how many would be left at the end, and he said 5.
Yep. For those of you keeping track at home, I don't know if this is what Oda was trying to imply with that number, but you will notice that 5 is fewer than the number of Straw Hats. So if Eneru was somehow going to be right, he has such crazy mantra that he can see 7 months into the future or something like that, 5 is not a good number, because that means maybe Usopp, maybe Nami, but 2 of them might be taken out.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I think is interesting is I believe they mentioned the word Sky Islands, right? Yeah. So, cat's out of the bag. There's actually more than one Sky Island, but we don't know much about the other ones, even in current canon. Even if you read a chapter, I think like 920 came out recently.
Okay.
But there are other Sky Islands, and Eneru's not from around here.
Interesting.
Oh, that would explain the ear things.
Yes.
There
And then
you go.
also, another little hint is when Robin showed up in the ruins, and she's like, I'm looking for the ancient city, one of the divine protectors, defenders, warriors, they show up and they go, you're not supposed to know about that. Keep out of here. This is God's land. So if there is a gold city, it seems like Eneru has specifically been trying to keep people out.
Huh.
Like for
It's
him and his priests.
city of gold.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Going back to the survival game,
Yes.
really quick.
I give Luffy 3 to 7 odds. He's the underdog.
I actually was going to ask, who do you guys think are going to be the 5 remaining? I would probably say Wiper, Nami, because it would be funny. Not funny like haha, but like, oh, Nami made it to the end. What's she going to do now? The stronger people have been taken out. Robin, maybe Zoro, Sanji. Those would be my 5.
Eneru counts himself as a contestant.
Oh,
So I
does
think
he?
that he would definitely count himself as a 5th.
Okay, maybe knock Sanji out of there then.
Okay. Yeah. I guess Luffy has to fight Eneru. Like, it's the rule of One Piece.
Yeah.
So he could be knocked out and come back. I don't know. Wow, who could have seen that coming? The winner wasn't even in the running anymore.
Exactly, right? Joel, do you have your 5 that you think would make it?
I don't really know if I would be comfortable kind of guessing. I'm curious as to what the winners are going to receive in this game. Like, if Eneru's going to wipe out everyone, why would he stop when there are only 3 enemies or only 4 enemies? Like, he just wipe them out too.
What do the winners receive in this game? Well, they get to live.
It is a call to survival game. Okay, you're right.
Anybody who survives into the last 5 gets to be on his Land of Dreams team.
Oh, okay. They all get matching t-shirts and they hang out every Thursday after work.
His Land of Dreams dream team. For his scheme.
All right, so if I had to guess without using future knowledge, if I had to try to be like, all right, it makes sense, I'm just going to go with the top members of each team. I'm going to go with Eneru and Ohm, who definitely seems the most, whatchamacallit, he seems to have the sharpest wit. Shura's already been taken out by the rejectile, point blank, jeez Louise. But, so I think Ohm and Eneru from Team Eneru, I think Wiper from Team Shandorians, and I would say Luffy and Zoro from Team Straw Hat. And then it will just be the Tower of Champions final cage match or something like that.
That sounds awesome. Tournament arc. Let's do it.
Yes, we haven't had a tournament arc yet, have we?
No. And spoiler alert, we don't get one until way, way later.
Wow, way to spoil that we get one.
We've already told him that we get one.
That's true.
Also, anime.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You know what? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Top 5. What am I doing? I'm being silly. Top 5. Eneru, Buggy, Usopp, Chopper, and Gadatsu.
How did Buggy get on the Sky Island? What is
Exactly,
he
that's
doing
what-
here?
He's
That's what
been
we all wanna
lurking
know.
in the sky this whole time. I don't know.
Imagine him just popping up and going, I heard there was gold?
No, imagine Buggy and Alvida and Richie and Kabaji in a hot air balloon that looks like Buggy's face. It's just like blown up to giant proportions.
What I'm hearing from you right now is that Buggy and his crew are basically the Team Rocket of this series, and I am here for that. Give them a balloon of Buggy's face. Let them have stupid idiot adventures where they try to screw over the Straw Hats. And
They even have a line that can stand in for Meowth, even though it can't talk. But give Alvida and Buggy the Team Rocket. Prepare for Buggy balls! And prepare to slip.
And I think we'll hit back on that after the break.
So, it's great. You know, it's just so great that our snake overlords are allowing us mere people to integrate with their society and such, but they found that artistic endeavors led purely by humans, it doesn't inspire people the way that snake projects do.
You know, it makes sense. Our snake overlords are so great.
Yeah. So I guess starting from here on out, we're going to have to advertise for King of the Snakes now, which is a new podcast. It's 3 snake hosts going through the series of One Piece from the very beginning, and we here are going to be more of a support role for them.
And I heard it's actually a version of One Piece where all the characters have been replaced by snakes.
That's great.
Yeah. So remember, kids, don't fight the snake overlords, and stay away from that the time travel technology.
Whoa, who is it?
I'm Kick-Ass Joel from the future. I've lost my arm and both my legs, but I replaced them with chicken tenders.
Oh, gosh, I don't think people from the future are allowed.
Gooey, delicious chicken legs.
I'm Kat from the future. I have an eye patch, and I'm a ghost for real now.
We've come to liberate you all. This is the day that society began to go under. Obviously, the podcasts are the sign of the culture and the scientific advancement.
I am Curtis from the future. I have lost my vocal cords and the rest of my body.
Watch out, he spews magma, so don't get in his way, kids. But we're here to set the future right.
King of the future now? What do we do? How do we fight the snakes?
We just believe in our friends, and we power up to maximum levels. Join together, everyone. Join your energies together. And on that day, the day was saved by the brave future heroes. The world returned to whence it came, and this brings an end to the exciting Snake Man conclusion. Join us next week for something not snake person related.
King of the future now.
Do you have a headache, Joel?
Yeah, something's weird about... Was there always a picture of a creepy clown in the corner of your room? I feel like maybe it used to be like a picture of something else, something reptilian, something slithery.
No, I think that's always
It's always been
there.
the creepy
Yeah,
clown? Okay.
Joel. I have a clown fetish, don't you know? I'm sorry.
That's why he likes it so much. Listen, fam, though, to get serious for a minute. Clownophilia is no joke. If you find yourself looking up pictures of shirtless Buggy, get the help you need before it's
More
too late.
shirtless Buggy.
That's the help you... Buggy actually showed up in the opening. I don't know if you saw in Bon Voyage, but there's like a flash of different important characters, and like Shanks is on screen, Blackbeard's on screen,
Oh, yeah.
but Buggy's one of the other ones, so he's not gone. He's still around in some form or another.
Buggy's going to be around at the end. I think what's going to happen is they're going to be there. The One Piece will be right there. Luffy's going to be like, I can go touch it. Buggy's going to be standing there like, let's race and go see who gets there first.
So this isn't really relevant to these episodes, and maybe you guys have discussed this on air before, I'm not sure. But in college, somebody pointed out to Joel and I that Buggy and Luffy are kind of opposites. Like, Luffy doesn't really care about treasure, he's out for adventure. Buggy doesn't care about adventure, he's out for treasure. Luffy can't be harmed by...
Slicing attacks.
No, he can be harmed by slicing attacks, he can't be harmed by
blunt
blows.
attacks.
Buggy's power set is the opposite. They have the same kind of fruit. They started their pirate journeys at the same time. So I really unironically think Buggy is going to be an endgame bad guy or ally. I'm not sure.
What's going to happen is Luffy's going to get to the end, and Buggy's going to be there. It's like, you can go to the One Piece, but first you have to get past me. the Elite Four champion, Buggy.
Wait, hang on. I got another one. Okay, so Luffy's fighting whoever, right? The strongest marine in existence, whose biceps have biceps that have six packs of abs, not of beer. And
I think that was implied, babe.
well, I know. I just want to make sure because Curtis is always a smart ass when I'm trying to go on these tangents. I love you, buddy, but every once in a while our snark levels for all three of us. Anyways, Luffy's gonna be fighting this big guy, and he's gonna be like, "Look, Luffy, I know you've defeated all sorts of people through the sheer power of willpower and friendship, but I've defeated all of your crew. They're gone. The ship is on fire. You can't save the Going Merry. And your punches aren't strong enough." And then Buggy, who also is there for some reason, will fall from a really high altitude and land on this buff strong dude. And he'll go, "Oh, my defenses, they're down for a single second." And then Luffy's gonna punch him, and that's gonna be how he wins. Buggy is the wild card that no one can possibly plan for.
Luffy will start running off and he'll call over his shoulder, "Thanks, Buggy," and Buggy will go, "Oh, you're welcome. Wait, I didn't do it for you, you bastard!"
Oh, I love that so much.
So are you saying that the show is going to end with Clown Ex Machina?
Don't bring your clow fetish back into this.
The clown in the machine. I love that so much.
Why is the doomsday machine that's going to kill all these pirates not working? Sir, there's a clown stuck in the gears.
Oh my god.
Getting back to these episodes, we were briefly afraid of Vor being an issue again. There was a giant snake that was trying to eat them.
Who was I'm pretty sure it could swallow the Mary with how big it is. It's a giant snake.
And it's got catfish whiskers and like frills on its sides. It basically was the coolest snake ever. If they existed in the real world, I would want one, and Joel would say, "No!"
You know, it was probably a catfish that ate the snake fruit.
Curtis,
Yes.
look into my eyes. That's the greatest thing you've ever said to me. For those who don't know, catfish are my favorite fish. I like yellow bullheads.
Oh.
They're very cool.
We all learned something new today. It would be so sad, though, because it could never go swimming ever again. It would be stuck on land for the rest of its life.
You broke my damn heart.
So what else about this snake, guys, other than the fact that Kat wants to adopt it, even though it would crush us all and kill us?
It was poisonous, but its poison was more like acid. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say poisonous. It was venomous.
Okay. And yeah, so Zoro was like, "I'm gonna cut this thing down." He sees that it bites a tree trunk, and when he takes his mouth away, it looks like the core of an apple, like
it's
all
been melted
all
away.
convex, not concave. And he goes, "We got to get out of here." So I guess it's canon that Zoro can defeat anything, but not giant venom monster snakes.
Not acid.
Yeah.
As soon as he realized there was acid, he was like, "I'm done with this." I thought it was funny, but also sad that like Chopper's desire to be a strong member of the crew is why they were caught off guard by the snake. Like, he was like, "I'm just imagining something moving back there. I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to bother the other guys." No, bother them. It was a snake. It's going to eat you dumbass.
Do you think there's going to be a point in the future where Zoro will get so strong that he can cut the individual molecules of the poison so that way he can cut through even acid?
I mean, maybe. At that point, could Zoro just do a nuclear blast with his sword because he's cutting through atoms?
Yeah. What if Zoro goes back in time and cuts an atom and causes a nuclear explosion that creates a dystopian future that leads to One Piece, because One Piece is in the future.
There you go. You figured it out. Speaking of Zoro, he got kind of a level up moment this episode.
Dude, not only a level up moment, like a complete new power set even. Curtis, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so first he picked up 1 pound. Then he picked up another. And then he did it 34 more times. No, so in all seriousness, he's had this fight with Brom. And it's not going well for Zoro. Brom has these guns.
Flash guns.
Yeah, the flash guns. So he keeps getting blinded. He can't see. He can't get close enough. He tries to put on goggles, but they're not tinted. And so it doesn't help him at all.
He gets distracted by an eel and gets shot in the leg.
Yeah, it's not going well for Zoro. And he's like, okay, it's time for me to pull out the thing that I was just practicing earlier in this episode.
That has never been mentioned before.
Yeah.
Although, there was a flashback. Didn't that show him in Whiskey Peak? So did we see him use that
Oh,
attack?
he did use the Hawk Blade. That's right. I forgot.
So he's like, I need to practice my long range attacks with my swords because anime. And there's this awesome part where Brahm is coming down a what do they call them? Milk
Milky
dials?
Way.
Milky
A
Way.
Milky Road, I think.
Yeah, I just find it
Anyways,
funny.
a little cloud track that's coming down, and he's riding down the cloud track, and he's got his guns out, and he's like monologuing at Zoro. Is like, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, because Zoro just had this monologue. He's like, you may have 2 little guns pointed at me, but I have a giant cannon pointed at you.
Okay.
And he's just sitting there with this one sword over his head.
I gotta interrupt you for just a second, Curtis. I'm very sorry. This is my favorite Zoro monologue in probably all of One Piece, but especially up to where we are now. Zoro says, I have the barrel of a cannon pointed at your head. In both power and range, my weapon far surpasses yours. And of course, Brahm is like, what are you talking about, you stupid idiot?
Mm-hmm. So he's just sliding down at him. And as he gets closer and closer, which, I mean, like, you could have done this sooner if it was a long-range weapon, Zoro. But anyways, as he gets closer and closer, Zoro finally strikes. And it's just like this boom. Like, you don't really get to see it. It zooms out, and you see, like, the like, stuff in the forest. Yeah, explosion in the forest. And then, like, it has, like, a shot of Brahm flying backwards, and like Zoro standing there, and all these like swirly marks from.
Yeah, you see like a blue swirl in the air or whatever.
And yeah, it was very cool. I liked the he had something else in his speech about
there are 6 earthly desires, or six organs you can use to sense things. You got ears, eyes, nose, tongue, body, and mind. And your intentions can be good, evil, or neutral. And of course, they can be pure or impure. These are the 36th earthly desires, which I'm told is a Buddhist thing. I don't personally know anything about Buddhism, but a lot of people will say that Zoro exemplifies Buddhism in a lot of ways, and this is one of the examples.
When I looked it up, because I wanted to try to speak to that directly, there are 106 earthly desires in Buddhism.
Is it 106 or 108?
I believe it was 106, but I can look it up again later. Anyway, so this is kind of Zoro's One Piece version of that, I guess. And that is also a very cool part of his speech. Just like going into this Buddhist Zen stuff as he's about to cut this guy down.
Yeah.
I love Zoro. He, by far, has the most badass moments of the crew. Even Luffy doesn't get a lot of badass moments.
No, Zoro is the man who death can take him and he'll still come back, versus Luffy, who will fight so hard that he never actually dies. That kind of how I interpret the different fights that they've had.
I like that distinction.
Did you notice that? And I'm taking some liberties with this. I think at least every major opponent Zoro's fought and defeated, he's defeated them with one blow.
Interesting.
So
like one final...
Yeah, well, because so like in this one, he didn't land a hit until that one shot.
Yes.
With Mr. One.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he hit him, but it didn't really affect him. But when he finally had figured out how to actually get past his defenses, it was one hit and he was down.
Was it the same with Hachi when he did Dragon Twister?
I believe so. Yeah, it's quite possible.
That's a great pattern. Good remembering, Curtis.
I mean, I might be taking liberties because, I mean, especially with Hachi, like there was some, sword on sword stuff. So it was like multiple swings, multiple attacks. But it's still like, it's not like I wound you, I wound you, I wound you. He's not a man that kills with 1,000 cuts. When he cuts you, you go down.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like, don't let him cut you.
Zoro is actually a little bit more of a strategic fighter, I would say, because you can see him during his battles thinking about his opponent and going, okay, how do I need to cut him? Which I think is why he usually ends his fights in a single big blow.
Well, and he's berating himself after they were attacked at Little Garden inside the wax and he couldn't cut it. He's like, I need to be stronger. And then he learns how to cut through anything. And then in this fight, he's like, I need to learn discipline. We don't get reflection from Luffy's mind. I don't think we ever get anything from Luffy's internal monologue.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of, you can see him progressing in the fights with the crocodile.
That's true, yes.
But not to the same degree, I agree.
We never see him talking about it, even in the fights with Crocodile. It just sort of, he shows up and he's like, I came up with this new plan.
Yeah, but Zoro is focused on his goal of becoming stronger. Luffy doesn't care about being strong, he just cares about getting to a place and beating up anyone who gets in his way. And Zoro's techniques evolve. Luffy's techniques also evolve, sure. But Luffy's attacks are, I'm going to punch harder, whereas Zoro has now developed, I can cut anything, which is an entire, new subset of powers. And I'm going to attack from a distance with my swords. What?
Mm-hmm.
Although Luffy does have one thing that Zoro is lacking.
The Straw Hat?
His beautiful singing voice.
Yes, absolutely. When we get this separation of the crew, not the crew, but the four, Robin, Chopper, Luffy, Zoro, Luffy remembers that Robin said, go south. And so the best way to figure out which direction south is to just go in a warmish direction. So he starts walking the direction he deems is south, and he starts singing a song about how the sun is warm and they grow pineapples, and the final line of the song, it reads almost like a haiku in my mind, and they're all idiots. And then he sings another song, up the north, how it's cold, and they're always chilly up there, and they're all morons.
And he starts to sing a song about the East and is interrupted by Wiper showing up and being like, let's fight, I'm mad.
Oh, we only have 2 of Luffy's 4 Zen, philosophies about life. If you know all 4, I bet you could become Pirate King too.
Mm-hmm. Except I think people from the East, because he's from the East Blue, are probably the smart ones.
Oh, you think so?
People from the West, they're jerks. The people from the East, they're fun. They're adventure loving. One of them's going to become king of the pirates.
Well, and so people from the South, their heads get really hot. People from the North, their heads get really cold. What happens to your head in the East and the West? Those directions don't have temperatures associated with them.
Your head is just perfect all the time.
Your head gets really round.
Also, I mean, if you go far, do they not care about anything below the equator? Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah, I think so. I think in Luffy's mind, there's only half of a world, and north is the very top, and south is like the wide.
Yeah.
I'm super curious. It's the red line that divides the world in half, right?
It's the red line and the grand line. Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is the red line the equator for this world? Do you think?
The map.
Maybe.
I thought the map always showed it as dividing the east-west hemispheres, as opposed to the north-south ones.
I don't know off the top of my head. Teching 101 on YouTube has a catchphrase, geography is everything! But if I had to take a test on the geography of One Piece, that'd probably be my weakest subject.
Mm-hmm.
Well, regardless, I think we've seen enough of the world to know that their temperatures and stuff don't really work the same way as ours anyway.
In the Grand Line. But in East Blue, I think it's kind of more like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's a fun fact, which Joel may have covered before. So we know there are summer, fall, spring, winter islands. Each one of those islands has 4 seasons. So there is a summer winter and a winter winter, which I think is...
So winter would be the coldest, and summer would be the hottest.
Yes.
And spring would be the best.
It would be the most flowery and everything would be, yes.
No, Curtis, that would be death to those with allergies. It would be miserable.
Okay, so maybe summer, spring? Or no, summer, fall? Or spring, fall? Spring, fall.
I think we need to put all of this into a...
Basket. Carry it away.
And put it into a spreadsheet and calculate the best answer objectively.
Spreadsheets and baskets are the same.
Okay.
You weave them together.
You know what? Absolutely. You know what else with spreadsheets, though, that you could do?
Okay.
Because we use spreadsheets to figure out what a summer and a fall would look like. We can also use it to keep track of the many and varied uses of dials.
Yes, so far we have got a sound dial. Do you remember what that one's called?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, we've got the one that collects sound. We've got a wave dial.
Oh, tone dial. Sorry.
Tone dial, thank you. We've got the impact dial and the reject dial, which were introduced to us this episode. And
a light dial.
A flame dial.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of different dials, but what's important to me about these episodes is specifically Gonfall looking at them and being like, you East Blue people don't understand anything about sky warfare. Let me explain. And we see it with Braum and Zoro when he uses the Milky dial to create these wave trails that he can ride on, and Zoro gets caught off guard because Braum moves without moving his feet. Zoro was looking to wait for him to make his move, and he moved without giving any indication.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's also a quote, and I didn't write it down, but Gonfall goes, these dials are supposed to be for cooking water, boiling water for cooking, or turning on a light, or a light breeze when it gets too hot. But men are so humans in general are so good at taking things that are good and turning them into weapons. For example, if you take a heat dial and put inside of a lance, suddenly you'll have a lance that can set things on fire. Hey, we've seen that before. So it's just interesting, A, that they're in a completely new fighting environment. And then B, the things that they are using to fight are actually like everyday things that pretty cool.
I've got the exact quote here if you want it.
Sure.
It was, "Men can turn things to evil when they have a mind for warfare."
That's why I've seen, like, you know, weaponized butter knives.
Weaponized bricks.
Yeah.
You know?
You're joking, but you can't take either of those things on an airplane. So
I mean, actually, that's true. Well, can you take a brick on the airplane?
I don't think so.
I highly doubt it. Because, like, what use could you have for a brick on a plane other than to hit someone?
I'm gonna look this up now. I'm really curious if TSA would let me take a brick through the security check.
I thought it was interesting, not to move away from that, Curtis, but I thought it was interesting that there was a distinction between the impact dial and the reject dial, and the reject dial was like 3 times as strong.
No, it was 10 times.
Yeah. And I have a question about that. So every other one of these, you put something in, and then it stores it, and later you put it back out. The reject dial is the only one with a multiplication factor, and I want to know why. What causes it to multiply, and how? Through what means does it multiply?
It's just a really aggressive mollusk.
It's just angry about everything.
So every other one is empty, right? But this one has a living creature inside of it, and so when you put pressure in, it's like, oh crap! I'm gonna put 9 extra times amount in there.
Here's what happens: inside the reject dial are 10 really small impact dials.
Oh!
That's it. They each individually get the same energy, and then they all pump it back out.
I love that. I was going to say maybe the contents of an impact dial are under pressure in a way that it's not on other...
Maybe.
And so...
You mean in a reject dial?
I did mean that.
Yeah.
And so you hit the reject dial, you know, and it stores the energy, but then the energy gets compressed until it's super, super powerful, and then when you release it, it explodes outward.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it like, let's say it takes in energy... Like, it takes in the pressure you put in it, but then when it puts it back out, it puts it in, like, a area that's 10 times as small. And then, so it's, like, more, like, a greater force, like, in that one specific point.
Okay.
Maybe it does that. I could see that.
There you go.
Because otherwise, it's got to be, like, pulling more energy from somewhere.
If you guys were going to have dials in real life, which dial would you want? You can pick 1, maybe 2. And what would you use them for?
Well, when I was a kid, I used to have a number dial on my phone. You'd use it.
Joel, you can go first.
I'm thinking... I don't know. A light dial might be kind of fun. You'd always have a flashlight, because it doesn't seem like they run out of batteries or anything like that. Maybe that, or maybe a heat dial in case I ever get cold. That's especially useful in the winter months, obviously.
I would just take it from you all the time. I'm so cold all the time.
And they run out eventually, I'd assume, right? Like, you have to reload them?
Yeah.
Okay.
They've got Furukami rules.
Okay.
Well, yeah, the impacts don't seem to run out. Satori was just like, poof, 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 poof.
I would
over and
assume
over again.
Maybe he stored up a lot in there.
Yeah, I would assume there's like a limit. That's an interesting question. I think I would do probably heat and impact. They're both different ways of collecting energy, which you could use to make interesting devices.
Okay.
Oh, the engineer speaks out about building things.
I would want, I think it's called the wave dial, the one that they use to power the waivers.
Yeah, I believe so.
I would want a wave dial and a milky dial, and I would just like glide around on the air, and it would be super cool, and I wouldn't need a car, and I could punch birds.
Okay. Those dang birds have just been threatening us for too long.
They're up there in the sky looking down on us.
Well, now it's my turn to look down on you, bird.
How do you like it when I poop on your car?
All right. So back to the reject dial, though. We saw Wiper actually use it against Shura, and he was taken out. And like you said, it was a pretty beautiful shot. But Katakuri? No. What's his name? Kurakaki? The
Katakuri.
Mohawk guy.
Katakuri.
It is not Katakuri. That's a character from a current arc.
Kimikura? Hang on. Okay, so One Piece, Sky Island, Nope.
Kikiriki.
Try searching. What are they called? The
Sandorians?
Sandorians. Yeah. Shandorians. That was it.
Shandia,
There you go. That'll
Burka.
tell you the characters.
Okay, Chris, stop looking at the
Okay,
screen.
I'm not looking.
Might give away
I'm not
important.
There he
people's
is,
names.
Kamakiri.
Kamakiri. But anyways, Kamakiri looks at Wiper and he goes, "Hey man, you use that one more time, your body's gonna explode." First off, do you think he's not going to use it again with how aggressive he seemed in the past couple of episodes?
He's definitely going to use it
He's
again.
definitely going to use it again. Probably going to break something. He's the Midori of this universe.
Yeah.
I will break every bone in my body if that's what it takes to defeat my opponents.
He is much angrier than Midoriya. This is a man who has never allowed himself to cry once in his life.
This is Bakugo with Midoriya's powers.
Oh no! But here's my question. We know that he's facing off against Luffy. Are you afraid for our rubber boy's life? Is he going to be okay if he takes one of those to the frickin' face?
I think he could absorb it.
No, he got hurt by the impacts, remember?
Oh,
It was
that's
like
right. I forgot.
Here's what I want to know.
Okay.
So we know that when you use a rejectile, the recoil is so powerful that it hurts you as well.
Yep.
But if Luffy used it, would he be able to absorb the impact? Because I don't think he could absorb it if it were used against him. But if it was just recoiled, maybe?
2 OP, please nerf. I think maybe he would be able to, but I think that's too powerful for him to reliably use it. I'm guessing that it's equal force in both directions, and I think it would still hurt his arm.
Okay.
Usopp should come up with a recoilless gun that uses, or like recoilless device that you hold it.
Yeah.
And like it absorbs.
It's
like,
a rejectile on a stick, or like a hammer. Yeah, and then you bam, and
Yeah, but it's got to have like springs and that in there to absorb the recoil, so it doesn't break your arms.
Curtis, I don't want to spoil anything, but you may be onto something. Usopp is definitely the most likely to come up with uses for the dials.
I could say, I hope the dials stick around. I hope they snag some of them and take them with them.
Snag.
I mean, either they're given, or they buy them, or they're pirates and they steal
if
them.
you look in the background of every scene that Usopp has been in, you can actually see him putting them in his back pocket and be like, this will come in useful in 3 more episodes. He said that exactly. It was
he was
a
twirling his mustache and like he was wearing a Waluigi hat.
Sometimes it's a top hat, but yeah, he has a cape. He hisses at people if they get too close.
I
Maybe
have
if I
never wanted to draw a crossover more badly than I want to draw Usopp in Waluigi's outfit.
Maybe if I steal enough of these, they'll let me into Smash Bros.
All right. Does anyone else have any thoughts on the dials? Probably more specifically the reject dials.
I don't know. I'm curious to see. I want to see what sort of damage it does. If it actually explodes his body or not.
I don't think they would show that on One Piece.
I don't know. They have suddenly gory scenes in One Piece. I could see them like pleasant battle, normal anime stuff. He uses it, boom, like spine and everything.
I wonder if that was a little bit of hyperbole. Maybe it'll just be his arm that blows up.
Yeah.
And Luffy will have to be like, I know another strong man who lost his arm once. Sometimes you have to sacrifice things for the greater.
And then meanwhile, Wiper
What? Wiper
is just sitting there going, my arm.
No, he's growling. He's like, "Oh, you stupid arm! Why didn't you stay on? Oh, I told you! Verth!
What, he's actually rubbing some Verth in it.
I want it in my blood.
Sacred, it's healing.
Oh, man. I got an idea. Matrix style. I think it was the second Matrix where it happened. Maybe it was the first. Anyways, Neo was dodging the Agent Smith's bullets, and then Trinity puts a gun up against his head and goes, "Dodge this," and pulls the trigger. Luffy will be fighting Eneru, and Eneru will just have him pinned on the ground, and Luffy's gonna be like, "Oh no, looks like this is the end." And then Wiper will just, like, right behind him, put the dial up against his head. "Hey, Eneru, tell you that God is fired. I'm not good with comebacks." And he presses the button. And
Do you think they'll team up finally? Why am I asking you?
I definitely
I just realized.
Do you think they'll team up finally?
I could see them teaming up at the end to defeat Eneru.
I don't know that the actual defeat would be a team up, because I think, as we've discussed before, Luffy has to be the one to beat the bad guy, because that's
solo.
just what this show is. But I could see them teaming up to take him on the first time, right? And then they fail, and then Luffy finds a way to come back and do it again.
Oh my god, I just realized they might have a failed attempt. And this is already a long arc.
This is a very long arc. It goes on for a while. It has like 4 false starts. Like you land on Sky Island and like, all right, we're here, right? We're finally here. It took us 8 episodes to get up to Sky Island. And you're like, yeah, okay. But then there's the survival game. It's like, okay, this is when the arc starts. Spoiler alert, something might or might not happen as the numbers begin to dwindle. And you're like, okay, is this where the final battle starts? It goes on and on and on.
And then they were taking a break and they were knitting, and we were like, this is where the arc starts.
Curtis, look at me. You are a One Piece novice. You don't get to complain until you've reached the status of One Piece veteran, okay? I have watched 800-something episodes of this anime.
Some of them are quite long. I love the show as a whole. It has its flaws. Really quick, I want to circle back to the Luffy teaming up. Imagine a drawn picture of Luffy coming back to the ship. Everyone else is on the ship, Robin, Nami, Chopper, all of them. Luffy's holding a puppy that is clearly overly aggressive. It has a muzzle on. It's just like, but it has the hair of Wiper. He goes, I found this puppy. I'm going to adopt it. And all the other crew members would be like, please no. Okay. Don't bring that on the ship.
When you started talking, my mind went in a direction, and it was actually very similar to where yours went. The ship is sailing away, and Luffy comes up next to it, but he's riding on the back of Wiper, who is running like a wolf and is just like growling.
In human form, right?
Yeah. He's just like, and he's Luffy's noble steed.
Nice. Oh, God.
Speaking of ships sailing away and like, oh, we're not going to compete in the survival games. I mean, that's not exactly what Nami and all of them said on the Going Merry, but they clearly were like, all right, we're done. We're not going to compete in this. And then Eneru shows up. And he's just like, sup guys, I can appear wherever I want. I zapped your chef. Ooh, he looks a little burnt.
And he even has the audacity to say, if I wanted you dead, I would have done that in the first place. But he was rude and he attacked me. What are you doing on the ship, Eneru? What do you want?
You're not one of the Straw Hats.
I'm just here
You're not even a sick old man.
My old pal God. How you doing, God?
All right. So, Curtis, my question to you is actually the question that you just asked rhetorically. What do you think he wants? Do you think he's looking for the Straw Hats, or do you think, like Catherine was alluding to, it has something to do with Gonfall?
It has something to do with Gonfall. I assume he's looking for something on the island. Gonfall probably knows where it is, or at least knows enough about where it is. He's looking for the poneglyph, which is going to tell him
where the location of Pluton is. There's apparently 8 different Plutons.
Pluton is going to power the ship that he needs to get to the land of dreams. I do think it's going to be something about him getting to the land of dreams. Okay. I don't know what that is. I don't know why he wants to go there. He's going to turn it into a land of nightmares. I know that much.
Land of zip-zappy bullshit.
I think you just summed up Sky Island perfectly. Land of zip-zappy bullshit.
I honestly have no clue what his end goal is right now. I'm assuming he's on the ship specifically just to talk to Gonfall.
Okay. I've got it. Eneru was your average everyday office worker.
Okay.
And he got fired and he started looking for a new job and he was like, wow, this is exhausting. It sucks. And so he trained hard every day and he became a man who's a god just for fun.
Oh, wow. I didn't even... Is there like a specific training routine you need for that?
Oh, yeah.
Lick 5,000 batteries every day.
Okay, give them to me.
That has been your final thought. Outro goes here.
And please don't lick batteries.
I mean, it's just going to give you a tingle. Sky Shark tip of the day. If you see a tasty-looking reindeer morsel wobbling above your hunting grounds, don't go for it. It's a trap. You won't get to eat it. You'll just be roped into dragging some stupid boat off an altar.
So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are King of the What Pod. King of the What Pod at gmail.com, patreon.com/KingOfTheWhatPod, KingOfTheWhatPod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host.
Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.